Okay, so it's been a little bit of time, guys, and the stuff that I ordered has arrived. If you've watched the pickups video that I've either done before or after this, I don't know when I'm going to upload that, but yeah, it was basically just me unboxing this. There wasn't really much to see other than me unboxing this, obviously. So yeah, the bits that I've ordered have arrived. I got everything you see on this screen mat here for about 18 pounds. It was 25 US dollars, about 18 pounds, something like that. And in this little box here is the stuff that I already had. So of course I had this motherboard here that had a lot of different problems on it, and yeah, it was really broken. There was lots of different problems on it. If you didn't watch part 1, then I'll put that up in the card, which will be up on one of these corners, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, if we have a look quickly at the housings, this housing here, I don't know if you can work that out or you can see it even, but there's a big stain on this area just here, and unfortunately there's not really much I can do about it because it is actually the paint that's come off as opposed to it being a stain that I can remove. But these ones here are in pretty bad shape as well. I'm probably, to be honest, going to use this one. Even though it's really scratched up, there isn't actually any sort of like severe damage to it as opposed to this one, which has that huge mark on it. But I'm not too sure yet, because other than that mark, this one's in really nice condition. The back of that one, the one that I originally had, is probably the best condition one. As you can see, these ones are all pretty ropey, but what I'll do is I'll put them all down, clean them all up, and I'll have a look at them. But I'm going to do that closer to the end of the video. I kind of want to get a working Game Boy first. So without any further ado, let's have a look to see if any of these two boards here actually work. Okay, so I have plugged in this wire here, which is just a AC adapter basically for a Game Boy. Hoping everything's on the right setting. I'm pretty certain it is. What I'm going to do is just take a look at both of these boards and see if they work. So this one here, I don't know if you can see that there, but it says light patchy, so I'm assuming that means that the backlight here has a couple of problems. And this one here doesn't have anything on it in terms of little sticky notes with labels on it. However, I can see that this has been, like, the soldering iron has been pressed up to the battery point here. As far as I can see, fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any sort of corrosion, which is a huge relief. I'm really glad that I can't see any corrosion, because usually if you do, that means that there's going to be a lot of different problems, and some of them can be problems that will come back over time and can be sometimes completely unrepairable. If we have a look at the original one that I have here, there is actually quite a lot of corrosion on it. I don't know if you can see, but there's predominantly down here. And yeah, this one's pretty much destroyed, to be perfectly honest with you. It is partially salvageable, but without any further ado, let's plug these in and see if we get anything from them. Okay, so I've put all these screws on the motherboard in. Now we're just going to put the back housing over it. Shouldn't need to screw this bit down really, should be okay. So we'll take the AC adapter here. And it does actually seem to work perfectly okay. If we have a look at the contrast here, maybe adjusting that. There we go. So if I turn this light off just here, you'll be able to see that the light works perfectly fine. So the next thing to do, of course, is to check with a game to see if it works. So I'll check with a copy of Tetris. So we have just on normally. Nintendo sign shows, which is a pretty good sign. Literally. Haven't got my start button in here at the moment, so that's probably going to be a bit difficult. But if we turn the backlight on, works absolutely fine. So that's absolutely fantastic, considering already we've got a working Game Boy Light there for £18. Okay, so it's time to do some picking and choosing. So these are the 3 backlight modules that I have for the Game Boy Light. This one is the worst one, this one is the best one. So this one here I don't know if you're going to be able to see that there, but in the middle it has some sort of like damage. There also seems to be a bit of a hole. I don't know if it's going to focus well enough for you to see that. I'm quite zoomed in. You can see it just there. There's a little bit of a hole, so I'm not entirely sure what that one is. It still does work. I've tested them all and they all work. So, but yeah, that one's probably not the best one. In fact, I don't think I have tested that one actually. But anyway, this one is the one that came with the original one that I had. So this one, there is actually a little bit of blue there on the sponge from corrosion, so that's how I know. And this one seems to be a little bit dim, possibly because it's been used a lot more. It's electroluminescent, which does actually get a lot dimmer over time, so that one's probably not the one I'm going to use for this main Game Boy light that I'm going to repair. And then this one is the one that I'm definitely going to be using. I'm going to give everything a little bit of a clean, scrub the contacts up, and then yeah, going to use that one anyway. So next thing up to look at is to choose what housing I'm going to be using. So I've definitely just decided I'm going to use the original one that I had anticipated to use, which is the one here with the screen and stuff in. Although it does have this stain here, it's not actually that damaged compared to these other two that I have. They're definitely a lot more damaged. You can see it's a lot worn down there and here as well. What I'm probably going to end up doing with these is pretty much just going to spray paint them a silver colour as close to as natural as I can get, just because they're all so damaged, as you can see all the way down the sides here and all the back and everything. Yeah, quite damaged. So still good to have, and I still can get these replacement screens quite easily. I do actually have a replacement screen as well, and I've put a brand new one in here also. Next thing is the backs. This one here isn't too bad. It's a little bit scratched up. This one here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in there, but there's a hell of a lot of corrosion going on in there. There's a huge build-up of it there. It is perfectly cleanable, and this one actually isn't in too bad condition, but the stick is a little bit damaged, so probably not the one I'm going to be using. And then last of all, this is the one that came with the original one that I have, and as you can see, it's in really nice condition. Not going to need to do anything to this one, just going to pop it straight in. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I'm going to clean a couple of the contacts up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and build myself a Game Boy Light out of a load of spares. Okay, so that is everything put back together. Last thing to do is actually test it with some batteries to see if it works. And we'll pop the battery cover back on. One thing I didn't mention before is this is the only battery cover I have for the silver Game Boy. So I don't know what I'm going to do without the other ones. But yeah, let's have a look, see if it works. So this is it without the backlight. And switch the backlight on. speaker seems to be a little bit temperamental. So I might have to have another look at that speaker, but for now I definitely am happy that I have one working Game Boy Light out of all of this. So now I have 4 working Game Boy Lights, which is more than I'd ever have dreamed of having. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. The video series is not going to end here. I have 2 more potential Game Boy Lights I'm going to try and build. We'll see how that goes. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.